I don't know if you've been paying attention or not, but I've kinda made over 100 Let's Plays. Which means I have to at least played 100 games. Take a look at my Steam library and I'd say that's a lot more than 100 games. And that got me thinking. Each year, I have a Game of the Year that I personally nominate and think is the absolute best game I played that year. But I never really showcased that. So I figured, now would be a great time. So join me as we waltz back down memory lane in reverse order, because I'm gonna be more likely to remember favorite games from recent years than from like 2010. But we're gonna work my way back through each year my channel's been active and point out my favorite game of that year. So stay tuned, because I honestly don't know how long this is gonna take, and I'm in it for the long haul. Alright, maybe this isn't gonna be as easy as I thought going in reverse order, because I just sat here for a solid like 10 minutes trying to think, what's my favorite game of 2022? And then it hit me. It's actually the first game I played in 2022. I've played some unique games this year, not as many as in past years, and the cream of the crop has to have been Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1. That game took me like 35 hours or something to complete. 100% mind you. And that was with some assistance from my friend. It still took us that long. That game is an open world detective investigation game from Frogwares, the only people who make good Sherlock Holmes games. Actually, are they the only people who make Sherlock Holmes games, period? Maybe. I had a blast roaming around that island and just investigating, looking around, seeing what I could see, seeing what the game would point out. What was even cooler is that this game doesn't exactly have only one case for you. It has lots of mini cases and DLC cases, which is a first for a detective game. I don't even think there is another detective game out there that has DLC. So I was pretty thrilled about that. In addition to the investigation bits, there's also occasional combat you have to do that's creative and not just give Sherlock a gun and shoot up all the enemies before time's up kind of challenge. Watson would get angry at you if you killed an enemy in combat. So you have to find creative ways to use the environment to subdue them so that you can arrest them and take them out that way. The game will still let you kill enemies, but you're gonna get docked points and yelled at for killing people, which can get annoying at times if you accidentally kill someone. I made it through without killing anyone. That's a lie, I accidentally did kill one person, but I rewound the game and replayed that segment so it never happened. And Watson's none the wiser. I say Watson, it's actually just John is his name. And there's lots of fun stuff involving John in that game that I'm not going to spoil because I don't like doing spoilers. So you're going to have to play that game and find out for yourself. Or watch my Let's Play, because yeah, I love that game so much, it's coming. Let's Play Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1 is going to be an eventual series on this channel. You know me, I love to rate music and rave about it. The music in this game is also quite phenomenal. I really don't have much negative to say about Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1. Definitely glad that it is a game I got at release and didn't put down until I had completely beaten it. Selecting my number one game of 2021 was actually a lot easier than 2022. I did play a lot of more fun, exciting games that year, including Subnautica Below Zero. But my favorite game of 2021 is hands down, without a doubt, Ori and the Blind Forest, which happened to be a graduation gift to me from a friend. Thank you again, really appreciated that, and it has to be definitely one of the all-time favorite games I've ever played. It's very unique in its presentation, and what gave it many booster points in my opinion was the fact that it had a manual save anywhere system called Soul Links that let you save at any point in the game. That can also be its downfall if you forget to save after long periods of time, but for me, it was a huge plus. I just really loved it. Probably one of the most talked about features in Ori is the escape scenes. They have these scenes after you beat like the main, I guess you could say, dungeon of the area, where you have to escape the element you just unlocked. And yeah, they're gonna be hard the first time, and even maybe the second time you play them through. But it just kind of gets addicting to try and get the muscle memory down to beat them without dying, because there's no checkpoints, so you gotta do it all in one go, or else. It was just really exhilarating experience. And on my second playthrough of that, because yes, you saw the Let's Play of Ori and the Blind Forest earlier on my channel, I just really had a good time talking through them, talking about them, and just like reliving the energy that I got to experience in those scenes. So, as you can imagine, I 100%ed that game. And within like less than a month of beating the first game, I was magically gifted the second game, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which is just as phenomenal. In some aspects, better. In other aspects, I can't even say worse. It was just great. If I had to pick worse, it'd be performance issues with, the graphics, but am I kind of willing to let that pass? Yes, because it was awesome. They took what was great about the first Ori game and made it better. Kind of similar to the way that Sucker Punch looked at the Assassin's Creed series, learned from their mistakes, and then took everything good they did in the Assassin's Creed series and made Ghost of Tsushima, which is another great game, but for 2021 standards, I would definitely say Ori and the Blind Forest is my number one game of 2021. Bad memories of the 2020 lockdown are often countered in my head by memories of my favorite game from 2020. Arguably, I logged a lot more hours on Rocket League, and definitely wish I had purchased the Battle Pass during that period of time. But my favorite game from that time has to be Techno Nine-Nine, aka Techno Babylon. That was a film noir, futuristic kind of game set many years in the future on an Earth with much more advanced technology than we have here. Well, I guess the future would have more advanced technology. Something I adopted very early into that Let's Play was nicknaming all the characters, and those nicknames carried over into my Let's Play of Techno Babylon, which hopefully you watched. If you didn't, shame. You got to pause this video right now and go watch it. That's required. Part of the big appeal to it was that it reminded me a lot of a game we're going to probably talk about later, Whispers of a Machine, in that it very felt similar to it. Big plus was, I believe, I could be wrong, I believe it was a Wadget Eye Games, which made a favorite game that we're going to talk about a lot later too, the Blackwell series. They've been known to make some great point-and-click adventures. I've yet to be disappointed by a Wadget Eye game that I played, but Techno Babylon really was great, especially just with all the different characters. I can even remember some of them off the top of my head. We play as the main character, who's Regis, and we're assisted by Terrible Detective, also known as, I think, Amy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Is her name? I don't remember. The first character's name was Lau. And there were multiple endings to that game, dependent on a final choice you made at the end, which I'm not going to spoil, because maybe you haven't seen that yet. But definitely, one of the most memorable parts of that, for me, would have had to be the grab ball section, where it's like you're in a virtual reality arcade, and you get to play this back and forth, hitting the ball kind of game. And the song that played during that was just incredibly amazing, definitely addicting. I like that song a lot. And now that I've remembered it, I'm probably gonna be blasting it on loop a little bit tonight. I can live with that. It's a great track. And an overall, honestly, great game. I highly recommend you check out Techno Babylon if you have not done it yet. 2019 saw the release of 2 games. The Horrors That Are Midnight in Salem, and I guess not really the release, but my discovery of the best mystery adventure game I probably have ever played. Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishment was something that I just really thoroughly enjoyed. Everyone says that Testament is the best Sherlock Holmes game. I think it's Crimes and Punishments. Everything had a logical sense to it. It was really straightforward to try and see the progression of the game. There's not a lot of hand-holding, but that is kind of not needed because you are really just by looking at your notebook, seeing the evidence, and looking around the crime scene, you can kind of figure out yourself what the next logical conclusion will be. Even if you can't, Sherlock will occasionally say, "Let us go to Baker Street and do this thing." No great deductions in it, unfortunately. It's replaced by you doing the deductions yourself. The Mind Palace, as they call it, not the biggest fan of not the biggest fan of that name, but I really enjoyed being able to connect the clues and create your own deductions, and at the end of each case, you had to make a final moral choice to decide the fate of who you think did it. And then on top of that, you have the option, if you're connected to the internet, to see how your fellow players did. If they did good, if they did bad, where your choice stands up compared to the rest of the Sherlock Holmes community. I suppose I should give a shout out to Frogwares right here because they're still making games in the middle of the Ukrainian crisis. So kudos to them. Her Interactive can't do that, and they're living here in nice, cushy Seattle, Washington. But yeah, Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishment is my favorite game from 2019. I knew Watch Eye Games was like the golden standard company for pixel games, but I never experienced them until I played Blackwell. The first game was alright. I don't really have much memories about it. It was short. It introduced me to the game, got me into it. Then I played Unbound. And holy cow, is Unbound a great game. First of all, I like Lauren a lot more than Rosangela. I don't even know what it is about Lauren I like more. It's just, she's a great main character and doesn't really put up with the nonsense of Joey the Ghost. She also smokes. Not that I smoke, not relating to the smoke, but just throwing it out there. The first games were pretty short, but then they got longer as they got, I guess, more funding to make the games bigger and better. But yeah, Unbound was supposed to be a flashback in the next game, which was Convergence. But it grew so big they had to just make it its own game, which I am completely fine with. As much as I like Convergence and the rest of the Blackwell series, I'm thankful they gave Lauren the spotlight. Just give her her own game that she can just do her stuff in. Blackwell Unbound. I love it. And that was also the game that they introduced the Blackwell theme that you hear in the background right now. The saxophone bit that was at the beginning became the sort of melody and theme of the rest of the Blackwell games. So you'll always hear it in some form in every Blackwell game. But I definitely say, favorite Blackwell game? Blackwell Unbound. Hands down. Favorite game of 2018. I think you can tell where this is going. Best game of 2017. Let's go. Unconditionally, hands down, Ghost Trick Phantom Detective. This is by Capcom, and this was around the time I was realizing don't underestimate Capcom. I hadn't played The Great Ace Attorney yet, but this game was actually made by the same guy and came first. So Ghost Trick is by far one of the most unique games I've ever seen. It has a gameplay element that no one else has really decided to do, and I don't think anyone will ever dare try again, because the formula is just too perfect to try and make a sequel or just try and replicate it. What's even great is once you think you learn the mechanics, like over halfway into the game, they throw something new at you. So, The game keeps you on your toes for sure, and I'm honestly thankful I had to play on a 3DS emulator. I'm sorry, just DS emulator. Because I need a lot of save states. That game is hard. But I don't believe I had to use a walkthrough for it on my first time, so it's a tricky game, but you can figure it out on your own. It's always great when you don't need outside help to beat a game. I have introduced this game to many of my friends, and all of them have completely agreed that Ghost Trick is, by far, one of the best games Capcom has made. It's just so darn unique, and trust me when I say you're not gonna see the twist when it comes. There are multiple. You actually won't see the dark moment when it comes either. You won't see a dark moment, you won't see the twist, you won't know jack dilly squat for most of this game. Unless you were like an eagle-eyed Gravity Falls fan and pays attention to every small, intricate detail that seems completely irrelevant. I guess in hindsight, the game might make a few nudges to try and, gesture you towards the truth, but I didn't figure it out. So, yeah. Ghost Trick, Phantom Detective, hands down, the best game of 2017. I had to cheat a little bit and look at purchase dates to get my best game of 2016. But I think it would have to be, and I apologize to other games I played this year if I'm forgetting you, it would have to be Enigmatis: The Ghost of Maple Creek, keeping that ghost theme going. It's a game that's it's really a hidden object game, but it doesn't feel like it. From the atmosphere to the mystery to the fact that the protagonist talks a lot more than any protagonist I've really seen in a hidden object game. Yeah. It's just, and the creepy atmosphere and sort of mature storyline it had, quite honestly, it terrified me a bit at times. But I just really enjoyed it, and I didn't mind the hidden object screens because it was just all standard find the objects. You didn't have to do some complicated hide and find puzzle. The board where you collect all the evidence is kind of fun too. Also getting to watch as, I don't even remember what her name is in that game, the detective lady piecing together all the information to try and solve the mystery, because there actually is a mystery. If they make it blatantly obvious early on, I don't remember. It's actually been a few years since I've played this game. Played it multiple times, and honestly, wouldn't be against playing it again. That's something important when you're looking at favorite games. You need to check, is it a great game? Is it a game that you would want to play again? And I would definitely play Enigmatis again, without hesitation. The second game isn't quite as good, but still is pretty good. And then the third game was a bit of a downer, but at least they wrapped up the story. It was a trilogy. And that reminds me of another trilogy I actually played around then, the Nevertales trilogy. Also a great game, series, and stuff. But I honestly think I like Enigmatis more. Man, I got to do some thinking now. It didn't take a lot of thinking for me to realize what my favorite game of 2015 is. Hands down, Linda's game. Oh boy. Just doing that brings back the nostalgia of Final Cut, Death on the Silver Screen. I've always been a bit of a cinema buff, loving movies, TV shows, television in general. If it wasn't so expensive, I honestly would still have cable to this day to watch live TV. But this game was just great. It had a great atmosphere. I love rain and cats. The game had both in multiple occasions, so that already was great. It was a hidden object game again, but I didn't mind the screens because, again, it was the standard, just a lot of objects, move them as fast as you can as you win. The music is phenomenal. It was back in the day when they would play the same song for every single hidden object game and puzzle you played. And they created bangers, if I'm completely honest. You are currently enjoying the puzzle theme, which they extended in the second game, Final Cut Encore. And I wish they had kept the music through the entire series. Around, I think in Game 4, whatever that one was called, I honestly don't remember after that. They revamped a lot of the songs, and they got rid of the puzzle theme, so I was sad. You might notice in my Let's Play of the Final Cut game, I actually replaced pretty much all the soundtrack with OG soundtrack because I wanted to create the best, experience I could for the viewer. The only problem was there's issues with my sound card in the computer, so the Let's Play kind of had crap audio anyway. But yeah, Final Cut, I would play it again, and just for Linda alone. Linda, who is trying to do all of those stupid, sorry for saying that, but it's the truth, those stupid YouTuber tropes where you have nemesis and recurring characters and hoo-ha like that. Decided to create Linda as my nemesis. I still kind of on the fence what I think about that, but Final Cut is an astounding game. The story's pretty good too. And, I mean, Laminalla's in it too, so can't really go wrong there. There's just a lot to love. And the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, yeah, Final Cut, favorite game of 2015. Ahoy, mateys. Oh dear. Cringe alert. I rewatched my Let's Play of Sea of Lies, Mutiny of the Heart, and my intro's Omega cringe. That aside, Sea of Lies, Mutiny of the Heart is the next favorite game in line. It's 2014, I think. I had to step away and do some things in between takes. We're gonna assume it's 2014. Sea of Lies, Mutiny of the Heart, favorite game of that year. Because it's a piratey game. And when I was younger, I kind of had a thing for piratiness. Loved Ransom of the Seven Ships. Loved the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I was just really into piratey things. And when I saw there was a adventure game pretty much set around piratiness, I was like, sign me up. And I'm going to take a quick moment right here to just say, wow, is that some of the best water animation I've ever seen in a hidden object game, especially at that time, 2014. My gosh, it was just really cool. This is also the first hide-and-fighting game I played that had more of an adventure-y game feel to it. Up until then, I'd only been playing the casual games of, more laid-back adventures. I'm thinking Dana Nightstone, Emberwing Lost Legacy, other games we're going to talk about later. All great in their own right, too. I don't think some of them aren't going to make it into this video, but they are solid games. I highly recommend everything by Boozap. But yeah, Sea of Lies is, once again, it was a hide-and-find game, which meant, click through the items really quickly so you could win. Also, it had an option to where you don't have to play hide-and-finds at all, which is what I did in my first playthrough. You are allowed to play Match 3, which is Bejeweled. You can play Bejeweled to win, which is great. And I just really enjoyed this game so much from the piratey theme. The music is really gun-ho-y. One thing that I kind of kept up for many years and only trailed off until, I think I only stopped until about senior year of college, is that every May, right before summer vacation started, I would whip out this game and replay it so that I could kick off every summer on the high seas of Sea of Lies. If that's not a mark of a game I really enjoy and want to play more of each year, I don't know what is. Okay, this is a little bit of a silly moment I want to share, but when I did do my recording of it, my Let's Play of it, I didn't really care for the fact that you could just see the protagonist's arms waving around and not like having any voice acting for her or something. Thanks for nothing, Madame Adams. But what I decided to do is I would take voice lines from other characters in other games and place them in places where they sound like they fit over what Madame Adams was doing. And I don't know how well that aged, actually. I haven't gone back to look. But that's that. Sea of Lies, Mutiny of the Heart, favorite game, 2014. And now I want to take a moment to just not honor the best game I played in 2013, but the whole series as a whole. Because I played it in the pivotal years of your teenage childhood where you're kind of forming the person you're going to become. And a game series that really saw me through that was the Awakening series. I discovered the original Dreamless Castle right after a recent move to a new city, and kind of needed something to, I guess, help me adjust. And I played that game, loved it, got Moonfell Wood as soon as I beat it, played it, loved it, then got my favorite game in the Awakening series, the Goblin Kingdom. Sadly, some of my OG save files from when I was a kid have been lost to computer transitions of time, but I still have that game. It's such a simple game. It doesn't offer much except beautiful artwork, peaceful music, some fun puzzles, some fun, can't believe I'm saying this, hidden object screens, really cute characters. Your helpers are, some of the few helpers I actually really like in a video game. You have your Owl Ran, and you have your Pocket Dragon, who you get in Moonfell Wood. If you want to learn more about Moonfell Wood, you can watch a really old Let's Play of it on Period of Platypus Gaming. Every time I think about this game, it just brings me such joy. I spent a lot of time playing this game and the other games in the series, and was honestly waiting super excitedly, because when I beat Goblin Kingdom, we were still waiting on the last few games to come out. So we were waiting on Sun Oak Spire and Red Leaf Forest. So I just was like in high anticipation, checking like checking Boom Zap's website every single day, trying to see, is it coming out now? Is it coming out? Do you have news? Come on, I want news. Oh my gosh, I feel like a kid again. I guess that's the magic of the Awakening series, and they're now remastering a few of the games. I beat Awakening Dreamless Castle Remastered, currently replaying Moonfell Wood, and it's just, I'm probably playing them a lot faster than I did back when I was younger, but the magic is still there. Well, the time has come. It's 2012. The last year I remember having a Game of the Year for. So, what is my favorite game of 2012? Was it the Hardy Boys: The Hidden Theft? Okay, we can outroll that immediately. Was it Tomb of the Lost Queen? Was it The Deadly Device? What if I told you it's a game I didn't ever expect to play, but I'm so glad I did. My favorite game of 2012 is Emerald City Confidential. I didn't know a game about Emerald City existed, and I didn't know further that Wadget Eye Games would become a gaming company whose games I would adore later down the road, because they're responsible for Blackwell and a few other games I love. I didn't know. How was I supposed to know? This was my first Wadget Eye Games, and the creator himself admits it's not the best, because it was like kind of held back by PlayFirst, who was the publisher for the game, trying to make it more casual, and he was trying to make it more adventure, and he kind of got this weird, just odd mix. But I didn't care. I loved it. It's an amazing game. I can't say enough good things about it. The objectives are really clear and they help you out. You have a cool collectible in the form of buttons, which unlock concept art. Your journal has a really helpful hint system in the event you get stuck, which I actually did get stuck a couple times. And the characters are really well done. Petra, our main character, great. The Scarecrow, annoying, but great. Freaking Jack Pumpkinhead, great. And, I don't know what to do. It feels like as I got further back in time, I just was like, wow, I love this game so much. I guess the further back in time I went, the higher the nostalgia got. And so that when we got to this game, it was just like, okay, this is it. Let out all your nostalgia, all your joy, all your good memories for this game. I love this game so much, I willingly played it for free with ad banners, because I couldn't buy the game. But then I bought it again as soon as I could on Big Fish Games, and again on Steam, because the Big Fish game kind of stopped working. But yeah, I played this game so many times, including for 2 Let's Plays, one on Period of Platypus Gaming and one here on LuigiFan891. Both were great. I loved them immensely. Would do this again if someone wanted to play Emerald City Confidential with me. Instantaneously, I would agree. We're playing it now. Favorite game of 2012, everybody. And with that, we've reached the end. Before this point, my games I predominantly played were Mario and Nancy Drew, so it's a whole other video if we want to talk about my favorite Nancy Drew Mario games. But that's about it for my recap of my favorite games by year. We already all the way back to, like 2011. That's where we're stopping. But before we end today's video, I do want to drop a few honorable mentions of games I love, but didn't quite make the cut for Best Game of the Year. Sly 2 Band of Thieves, Slime Rancher, Rocket League, Sherlock Holmes vs. Arsene Lupin, Nevertales The Beauty Within, Zing The Land Beyond, Super Lucky's Tale, and Siberia. I could go on, but those are the few I just want to showcase before we end things off. As for future games of the year, Breath of the Wild 2, Ghost of Tsushima, couple of contenders we have going right now, and who knows, got many more years of gaming to go. Let's see what gets added to the list. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.